Good evening. Call this meeting of the Board of Works and Safety for March the 19th. All members are present along with legal counsel. Do we have any corrections or additions to the minutes?
If there are none, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Claims for payment this evening. The total accounts payable for the Board of Works claims is $131,765.88.
Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Total payroll for Board of Works claims is $944,328.59.
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We also have a total fire clothing allowance per Board of Works claim of $320.26 in the amount of $64,000.
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we have a request for handicap signs.
Good afternoon, Board of Works. I'm Aaron Stevens. I'm the Administrative Resource Officer with the Richmond Police Department. I come actually with, I think this is the second time that I've brought these to us, but somehow the paperwork got lost and the signs have never been put up at this point. But it is request for new handicap signs at 421 Richmond Avenue and also 423 Richmond Avenue. I've checked. There are no available off-road parkings for either of those residences, and there is definitely the need for the handicap parking, and I would ask that you approve the request.
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to street closures.
Thank you. A request for a street closure that will be on March 24th and March 25th of this year. It is actually only in the 2200 block of West Main, not all of Southwest 18th to Salisbury Road. It's just the 2200 block of West Main Street. The street closures will be from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m., resuming regular traffic flow after 4 p.m. RST will be providing barricades and signage during this time in the construction, and it's to link some existing sanitary district sewer lines together. So,
Any further discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
thank you.
Move on to a projecting sign. Joanne, are you going to bring that to us?
Yeah, so this sign is going to be located at the new apartment building over here at 6th and Main. The reason we bring it to Board of Works is because it's going to be 17 feet above the sidewalk instead of the 14 max. It was approved by BZA on our meeting earlier in March, 4-0. So I ask that you approve.
Move for approval.
Second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to vehicle impound and storage agreement.
Good evening, Karen O, Purchasing Manager. In regards to vehicle impound and storage agreement for 2026, the bids were opened on March 5th, 2026, and those are as follows. Pardo's was $15,001 per year, Countryside Auto at $21,600 per year, and Inglewood Towing for $21,000 per year. It is my recommendation to award Contract 8-2026 to Countryside Auto for $21,600 for a 2-year period, and he'll pay that twice a year. This contract is set to begin April 1st, 2026, and end March 31st, 2028, with an option to renew for an additional 2 years.
Any questions?
No questions?
I did have one. I'm not familiar with where Countryside is. Where are they located?
They're on Union Pike, just off of Industries.
Okay, yes, all right. I know right where that is then.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Move on to Wallace Heating and Air.
Thank you.
T.L. Bozell, Richmond Street Department. Dear board members, Wallace Heating and Air was awarded the bid for HVAC maintenance on February 5th, 2026. It is our recommendation to approve contract number 24, 2026 to Wallace Heating and Air.
Any questions?
No questions. Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carried. Move on to contract number 25, 2026, Overhead Door Company.
Overhead Door Company was awarded the garage door maintenance bid on February 5th, 2026. It is our recommendation to approve contract number 25, 2026 to Overhead Door Company.
I just have one question. Could you just state the contract amount?
Contract amount? Let me find it here. And I don't think I have it on here.
I'm trying to remember when we opened that.
I have $95 per service hour and $142.50 overtime hours. And that's, I don't have a total on that. So that is, it'll be $95 per hour if it's probably 8 to 5, I'd guess.
Okay.
And then anything after that would be $142.50, you know, if it's overtime needed. So, and that's only if we need it.
Okay.
So it'll be per hour that way.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Move on to D&J Janitorial Service.
Dear board members, the bid for cleaning offices was awarded to D&D Janitorial on February 5th, 2026. We are now asking the board to approve contract number 26, 2026 for office cleaning service to D&D Janitorial in the amount of $4,680.
Discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Midwest Signal and Railroad Service, contract 28, 2026.
Matt Keller, Director of Public Operations. I'm here to request approval of Contract 28, 2026 for the city-owned railroad spur signal and crossing maintenance and repair contract. This would be to Midwest Signal and Railroad Services for a contract through 2026 and 2027 calendar year. And this is for their general inspections and maintenance monthly, not to exceed $9,600 annually.
There's no questions. I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Move on to contract 29, 2026, Oracle.
Yep. Here to request the approval of Contract 29, 2026 for city-owned elevators located at the City Municipal Building, Parking Garage, and Sanitation District Intermediate Pump Building. The city received bids from Murphy Elevator Company at $1,400 a month and Oracle Elevator Holdco Inc. at $900 a month. We would like to contract with Oracle Elevator for the period between March 2026 and March 2030.
Any discussion?
There's no questions. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Matt, I did have one question. The elevators, both of them are starting to get pretty old.
Yes.
And normally at this stage, those are 50 years old now, and parts normally are not available. Has there been any study done as to whether or not we can get parts in the future, or whether we're going to have to start planning to replace those elevators?
Yeah, so, great question. It is actually even written into the contract that there will be issues with sourcing some parts over time. They become obsolete at this point. Prior to my time, about 12 years ago, it was recommended to the city to begin saving for replacement costs, which I do not believe was ever done. We do have a current quote for modernization for the 2 elevators at the city building, and it's just about $289,000. So the city needs to gather $300,000 to
We need to
replace
be
both of
planning that
them.
we're going to do, that's something council
Correct.
needs to know.
We
that-
will need to begin
Right.
planning. They need to be replaced in the next few years. So we do need to come up with some sort of strategy to stockpile a little savings to get them done, because they're already obsolete.
Good. Well, as council reads the minutes of Board of Works, we suggest very strongly, council, you begin to set money aside to begin to replace those elevators.
Yes.
Because the time's going to come when you can't machine a part for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of
they're-
people can't
they're-
walk up the steps.
Yeah, and they're increasingly having some issues, so,
Okay. All right.
so yes. Thank
Any
you.
further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
At this point, we will take a short recess so we can sign the paperwork that we need to sign, and then we'll go into a vicious dog hearing right after that. So we'll recess for about 4 or 5 minutes here. The scheduled hearing of Andrew Mowell as the dog owner of Mo in Richmond, Indiana, in connection with a vicious dog determination is now called to order. 3 board members and legal counsel are present. The Richmond Police Department will present evidence and testimony first, and then the owner may present evidence, testimony, conduct, cross-examination, and any rebuttal evidence that you may want to do at that time. If either side has more than one witness testifying about the same fact, it can be stipulated in the minutes that there are a number of witnesses attesting to the same fact, and only one witness would speak to that fact. Board members will write down any questions that they might have of any of the witnesses so that we can answer those questions that you may have. And after all witnesses have been heard, each side will then have an opportunity for closing remarks. The owner will have the right to the final closing remarks. At this time, we'll call on Councilor Vessel, who will now explain additional procedures for this hearing.
Thank you. Each person stepping up to the podium must state their name, job title if applicable, and home address or working address. Please speak clearly into the microphone. Copies of any evidentiary exhibits must be provided to each board member and the opposing party, the board counsel, and deputy clerk. If copies are not marked with numbers or letters designated in the exhibit, I will assign a designation to that exhibit. Kenneth, we did talk about asking the board to make a motion to stipulate the receipt of the exhibits beforehand.
Right.
And I would just ask before we ask for that motion that I would note for the record that if there are any objections to exhibits, those will be made for the record, but they will still be allowed into the board's record as being received as a public record. So if the board would so move to stipulate to any exhibits that are also going to be received in their totality today.
Board hear a motion? Joanne? Second. Lindsay? Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
So the charges against the owner must be proven by the Richmond Police Department by a preponderance of the credible evidence, and the board must find that the city meets this burden of proof by a majority of the quorum of the board. We do have a quorum of the board, so it would be 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, or 0-3. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to Richmond City Code 91.15B, and the board has jurisdiction to hear this matter. This hearing is being held in an open public meeting. The hearing is also being recorded by the deputy clerk and is being transmitted by WCTV as the local PEG access entity. Each side may provide the clerk with a flash drive after this hearing, and she will save a copy of the recorded hearing on a flash drive. You may create a transcript of this hearing that is saved on your flash drive at your own expense. At this time, any witnesses or presenters who will be called to testify will be sworn in by the deputy clerk. So please stand and raise your right hand for the deputy clerk to swear you in.
Andrew, stand also.
Swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And I am done with my statements unless there are any questions.
Have none?
So as said, the police department would present its case first.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Stevens. I'm the Administrative Resource Officer of the Richmond Police Department, 50 North 5th Street, Richmond, Indiana. I've served with the Richmond Police Department since, long time. February the 6th, 1986, I was sworn in. My current roles, in my current position, I also am the immediate supervisor over the Animal Control Department of the Richmond Police Department. I will be coming forth with a little bit of background on the incident that occurred on October the 10th, 2025, that led us to this hearing tonight. And first, I would like to present, I'm going with some of your instructions. I have an outline that I had prepared, and I'm going to give Mr. Mull a copy of it just so that he has it as well.
Okay.
And I am hoping that each of the board members would have previously received the packet on the vicious dog incident, which would have also included reports from Officers Tuscamico Thompson, Officer Adam Hinksler, who were the original responding officers and also authors of separate reports of the incident that occurred that night. Your packet also includes a written statement or a typed statement by Animal Control Officer Desiree Durbin, as well as the dog bite report itself. And if I may just briefly just give the background on the incident, that on October the 10th, 2025, at approximately 2:44 in the afternoon, officers were dispatched to 2517 South A. Adams Street here in Richmond, Wayne County, Indiana, in regards to a dog bite. And the information provided will show that the responding officers found a victim there. Her name is Ann Mowell, who is a resident of that address, who had been in that residence alone with the animal in question. His name is Mo. The reports show that Mrs. Mowell got up and she went and she approached Mo, and she leaned over and she was bitten in the face by Mo. I will not go into the graphics as to the nature of the injuries, but they were considerable injuries to her face. As a result of that, she was taken to the hospital. The owner of the animal, Mr. Andrew Mole, was not present at the time. He was out of state. However, the initial reporter was another family member who is not present with us today. His name is Brian. And again, the information provided in the reports do reflect his location and the fact that he called. So a little background on the incident. I would like to call Officer Desiree Durbin, the Animal Control Officer, to come forward for a number of questions I may have, if I may.
Fine.
And if you would, Desiree, state your name, your title, and where you work, please.
I am Desiree Durbin, the Animal Control Officer for the City of Richmond. I have been here for a little over 4 years. 50 North 5th Street, Richmond, Indiana is my address.
Desiree, I've given a little bit of a background on the incident that occurred on October the 10th of 2025. And in your role as Animal Control Officer, upon receiving the dog bite report, how did you respond?
I contacted the victim, Miss Ann, in regards to her injuries to get a better idea, as the pictures were graphic, and to check up on how she was doing as part of my investigation. Ann underwent multiple reconstructive surgeries and a lot of physical therapy. And at the time of speaking to her, she was still working towards those. As I spoke to her multiple times. I then spoke to Brian, her other son, and he informed me of all the same things. I did not make contact with Mr. Andrew, as any information regarding the dog had already been collected by officers, and I did not have any further questions.
Thank you. After receiving the original information, the report, and speaking with Ms. Ann Mowell, what did you next do in regards to this investigation?
I determined that the best course of action would be to have a vicious dog hearing with the Board of Works, as the incident itself was contained. It did not need law enforcement action, no criminal charges regarding the animal. It was an in-house closed event. So I completed a vicious dog packet, turned it into my supervisors, as well as my own report after going over all of the information other officers had gathered.
Thank you. At any point, were you able to speak with Mr. Andrew Mole?
No, sir.
All right. Did you check with the city in regards to the current status of vaccination for Mo?
Mo did not have any in-city vaccinations. According to the reports the officer wrote, all of his vaccinations would have been through Hawaii, but Mr. Andrews stated that they were out of date.
So at the time of the incident on October the 10th, 2025, Mo was not properly vaccinated as according to city ordinance.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We met several times during this because, as we know, getting to a point of appearing before the Board of Works, it takes some time. Have we missed anything during the process? You have done this a number of times with vicious dog investigations. Briefly, just spell out what are the proper steps when taking an investigation and then reaching to the point where it needs to possibly come before the Board of Works to be deemed vicious.
So the way I determine if a dog is worthy of coming through to the Board of Works to be deemed vicious is how many times has this dog been involved in a dog bite, and/or what is the severity of the dog bite that was caused. If the dog has been in multiple, I bring it forward because he is known to have aggression. It is shown that the owners are not taking care of him properly and/or keeping him contained on their property. And if it's just one bite, it has to be very severe for me to determine that this dog should go through to the Board of Works.
In your opinion, as animal control officer, and you've been in this position for several years, did the nature of the injuries sustained by Miss Ann Mowell meet that criteria that is established in regards to deeming the dog vicious?
Yeah, this is one of, if not the worst dog bite I have dealt with in my career. It was very devastating and life-altering.
Thank you. Again, I said I was not going to go into graphic detail in regards to the injuries, but based upon some of the things that you may have already read, as well as the statements made by Animal Control Officer Durbin, the injuries sustained to Ms. Mowell were incredibly dangerous. She said life-altering, actually to a point of being disfiguring at the time of the incident. I myself, for 40 years, have seen a number of animal situations. This, without a doubt, goes down as probably one of the worst ones that I have ever witnessed. The thing about it is with an animal, and I'm not trying to pontificate, the thing about an animal is at any time, the kindest of animals can become defensive to a point of becoming aggressive. And on October the 10th, 2025, out of nowhere, unfortunately, the mother of two sons and the resident at that location, Miss Ann Mowell, was attacked rather viciously in a moment's notice. My concern as a supervisor and also as a police officer and as a citizen is if this incident could happen once inside a house with a family member that the animal had been around for 2 years. If it could happen then, what could it do if it were outside of the home or under another circumstance with another family member who may be visiting and not have the connection, the emotional connections with the animal? Could we get to that point again? It would be my recommendation that we proceed then further with the vicious dog proceedings. And that concludes my presentation at this time.
Thank you. Any questions immediately?
Yes,
Lindsay?
Ken, I have one. Desiree, you said you were unable to contact the owner. Can you tell me how many times and what time span you had tried to make contact with Mr. Mowell?
I apologize. I must have misspoke the last time I had spoken about it. I did not attempt to contact Mr. Mowell as all information that I would have gathered from him was previously gathered by the two officers on scene.
Okay, thank
So
you.
all I need is the dog's age, the breed, his name, if he is vaccinated, and any history that he might have, and all of that was collected by officers.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. Did the dog stay in the home after the incident with Mom? Or Ms. Mowell?
Yes, ma'am. As Mr. Mowell was out of state on vacation, the dog was left in the home. I believe somebody was caring for him. Officers did say to Mr. Andrew to get back as soon as possible, but the dog was not removed from the home.
So he wasn't quarantined or?
He was quarantined, but you quarantine at home due to shelter space.
Okay.
So I believe the officers informed him of the 10-day quarantine of keeping him away from other animals and walking him on a lead. But we do not normally remove dogs from the home to quarantine at the shelter due to shelter space.
Thank you.
Okay, I have another question as well. You said that you had spoken to the victim after the bite, and did you follow up? How long did it take for her to, well, let me say, how long was she in the hospital for this incident? And then is she still undergoing physical therapy now?
I'm not aware of how long she was in the hospital. The last time I spoke to her was probably 2 months ago, and she was staying in Cincinnati with her son Brian, still undergoing treatment and physical therapy.
Okay,
So she no longer resides at the same residence. She lives in Cincinnati to undergo, her plastic surgery and physical therapy.
okay.
Any other questions?
If none, you need to move to cross-examination. So if Mr. Andrew Mell is here, he would have an opportunity to ask questions, ask cross-examination questions only. You will get your chance to present a case, but if you have any specific questions for either Aaron Stevens or Desiree Durbin, you need to ask just those questions. Okay, are you sure? Just questions. You will get a chance to present your own side.
Okay, sure, come on up. State your name and address, please.
My name is Andrew Mell. I reside at 2517 South A. Yeah, my only question is about the incident report. Because in your notes, like my brother then called after and he incited even more information, like he was just a third party, and how much, like you swayed, like you said then based off the information he gave you, along with what you had, you added then, like you deemed it vicious based off, like my brother, like, did any of that persuade you? Did it move you based off just him?
Please, yes,
Please.
please.
No, sir. My determination of this case was based purely off of the injuries that your mother received. I did speak to your brother, but it was purely off of the damage that was done with the bite.
Anything else, Andrew?
My only question is, so this happened back in October, and I never heard I was never contacted by anybody until when I got this notice 12 days ago. So I don't know, like, what the procedure is. Like I never got the report. I was told that after the 10-day quarantine, I would be contacted, and, like, that just never happened. I don't know if something fell through the cracks or, like, if it's just, procedure where everything, the paper trail and everything has to go through a process. So
Basically, Andrew, and I can answer that, we are following the process. Unfortunately, the time frame from the time, and I asked the initial same question that you're asking now, why did it take so long to get to here? And it is the paperwork, and for your particular case to move up the line
Yeah.
to where we got to here, in my case, when I first looked at it, I said, gee, we should have been on this in a couple of weeks, but your case went into the system, and it has worked its way up, and here we are in March now that we're getting this. And so we have complied with all the timeframes and everything that we have to do here, yes.
So,
the only other.
so if there's no more cross-examination questions, do you want to go ahead and allow Mr. Moel to present his case?
Are you sure you have no other questions? Take your time and look at your notes.
I mean, reading the notes, the two policemen, they definitely did their job. It's just, I know you go off your notes based off what the other policeman gave you, but like never being contacted, like as the owner, like, I don't understand why that didn't happen. Because, I mean, as I'll say again, like, for the past almost 6 months, like, as she said, this was an in-house accident, like, no charges were filed, like, we've been healing and progressing as a family, and so, not hearing anything, we've been moving on as a family, and I mean, I don't have any questions. I guess I just don't understand why I was never contacted when she's the one who gives the recommendation that he be deemed vicious if termination gets thrown on the table. Like no contact doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it is the time framing, and I can appreciate what you are saying, and it is unfortunate that the backlog of different cases that we have, that it's taken this long to get to this case, and you are getting notified now.
Yeah.
But it's the time frame. I do understand where you're coming from and the length of time, but that's an unfortunate case in this, and as you watch other cases, they all sometimes take several months before they ever get there, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, before she made her recommendation, it was just like no conversation between the owner and officer. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Not talking about just the general timeline of
Right.
where we are here now, 5.5 months later.
Well, as you can see, and you look in the case that they have presented in here, as you look at her decision-making in reading not only the two officers that were involved in the dog bite case on there, but then in following up with your mother on there and talking with her and looking at the injuries that were sustained at that time. And in reading the notes, she was in the hospital for a period of time in intensive care, yes.
I can't answer. She was admitted Friday afternoon and she left Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Anything else? If not, then we'd let you go ahead and make your presentation.
Yes, I do not have further questions. Yes, what happened on October 10th, as Officer Stevens very well described, was a horrible, horrible, horrible incident. I had just left. I was driving to Virginia when I was just about there with two friends in the car when I get the message. I get a phone call from, I believe, the first officer, Officer Henksler, I think, about everything that had happened, about the bite, about she had been ambulanced to the hospital. She was there. My brother and my sister-in-law were there. And then they recommended I come back. So the next day I came back. I was the one who got Mo. He'd been in the house for the whole time. And then quarantined him, helped her. Like, again, she was there, said Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. I know, like, as he described it, sorry, I'm just nervous. What happened was horrible, but as you can tell, as the notes say, he was sitting in his chair, and he was either, I don't know if he was asleep, awake, but he was laying there when he felt a presence hunched over him, and he had a very dog reaction to what had happened. It is beyond unfortunate, but I don't know what entails being deemed vicious, but like with termination being on the table, like this wasn't, it was an act in defense, not a unprovoked act of aggression or viciousness. For the last 5.5, 6 months. Like, we've been, as she said, it's been an in-house occurrence. It was an in-house occurrence. We as a family have been working with it. She is, no skin was removed, so the doctor, that's why it was such a quick in and out. The doctor was able to stitch her back up. She is healing very well. As I agree, she is healing and is in PT. But like, she even just texted me right before I got here. It just, what happened, like, they met in Hawaii and there was no problem there. For 2 years, there's been nothing. Like, even the night before, like, they're couch pals. You know, he helps her with Wheel of Fortune while she schools him watching Jeopardy. Like, they're just, like, even the night before, he slept at the foot of her bed. And so I do not know what caused this accident, but unfortunately, if, like, just going off the facts, the dog was just minding his own. A most unfortunate accident is what I believe. And I come here with, you mentioned something about repetitive, like, I have written testimonies from the people who he has been in contact with to testify to his normal behavior. One, two, there's 6. Okay. I also have, while his shots were behind at the time, I do have, here's everything that it is up to date. Certificates of I can, this is, I have a copy as well if you want to.
Unless you didn't keep one for yourself.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. And as she's also said, my mother has, my brother contacted you? Oh, that was never mind, I can't ask anymore. My mother has since moved to Cincinnati. Just, both my sister-in-law and brother work at home, so it's a much more, they can be much more expedient, like if she needs anything. Whereas if I'm, like, I have to work during the day, so I can't be so readily available as they are. It's, I mean, I don't like being up here because I'm defending my dog and it means going against my mother. Like, but if we're talking about if ending a life is on the table, like, I just, while what happened was vicious, he's not a vicious dog. He is, you know, he's a rescue from Hawaii. He was abused as a puppy. And he's a scaredy cat. He's not, emotionally attached is an understatement. Like, we have, as a family, we have remedied the situation. And, like, I know, but he has a backyard where it's 8-foot vinyl on the sides and then a 6-foot chain link in the back. He's not around a lot of people. He's around people, like my neighbors, and they have people over. I'm pleading with you. Like, what happened was horrible, but it was an accident in defense and not unprovoked aggression. And I did everything I could to remedy it. Like, if you need to see again, the moment it happened, I went and got the letter from Casey Stevens will prove I went and got an apartment to get my mom's house back to herself. So, and then while there were no problems. I did everything I could to remove any incident and prevent it from happening again. And it's been 6 months since, and again, it's as an in-house accident, we've been moving forward, and again, I plead, like, please let this dog live. I don't know what else I'll need to do. Like, if I need to do anything else, please let me know. I'll do it.
Does the board have any questions, and does the board want an explanation regarding the automatic requirements in 91.15?
I do have several questions, and then, yes, I would like the requirements. Do you want to do the requirements first or ask my questions first?
I'd like the board to ask its questions first, and then that way I can go
Okay.
off of that if needed.
Before we go to that, do we need to number these and enter these into the record?
So I went ahead and set up the first attachment with the letters as Respondents Exhibit A, and then I set up the second attachment as Respondents Exhibit B, and then the actual packet from the police department, that'll be Petitioner's Exhibit A, and I'll stamp that later. So, but for the actual minutes, we can set that up as A and B for the respondent and Exhibit A for the
Chair would so
Petitioner.
entertain a motion to accept these documents and have them filed.
Second. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Okay, am I allowed to ask my questions now?
Yes, go right ahead, Lindsay.
So has your dog ever growled, snapped, or shown aggression toward the victim or anyone else before?
Growled, snapped, shown aggression. No, like I mean, he barks when the doorbell rings, but that's pretty common. No, again, like, they first met when she visited me in Hawaii a few months before I moved back, and he was off the leash the whole time.
Okay. And then in Officer Hingsler's report, he has down that Ann stated Mo is normally nice, but does have a tendency for being aggressive from time to time. Ann stated Mo was purchased and lived in Hawaii. There were no prior incidents in Indiana, but she noted he had other incidents in Hawaii. Can you tell me what those incidents were in Hawaii?
First, like, he wasn't purchased. Again, like, I adopted him from the Humane Society. It was, yeah, they weren't bites. They were, again, in-house incidents where the friend I was living with had a few friends over. Before I left for work, they were just whatever you do, do not get in his face. That's it. Like, the friend I was living with, he fostered it, and then I ended up adopting it. They were, just don't get in his face. Well, they decided to, drink all day and get intoxicated, and what do you know, they forgot. In about an hour, when I was about done with work, I got two text messages, one from my buddy saying that Mo nipped, it was a nip, and then even the friend saying, it's my fault, I forgot, I got in his face.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have a lot of questions, and you've answered some of them, so I just want to make sure I go through. Have you had the dog evaluated by a veterinarian or a behavior specialist since this incident?
No, but that is one thing, like, if, I'm definitely more than willing to. Since it was such an isolated incident, but if need be, absolutely.
You stated that the victim is staying in Cincinnati, and is that due to the physical therapy and needing someone around, or is she afraid to come back to the house where Mo is residing?
Well, shortly after, I had rented an apartment to get out of there. But again, with me having to work and I'm not as readily available to help her as they are. So, she turns 78 next month, and on top of this, just general doctor visits that they can be much more attentive to.
What makes you confident that this will never happen again?
We live a pretty private life. It's just me and him. Again, we chill in the house. He has a whole backyard to run around in. He has his friend, on the other side of the fence. We don't go to populated areas where people are. I'm doing what I can to minimize that possibility.
Has Mo ever been aggressive to you if you were to bend down and get in his face or nip at you?
No.
No. How would you respond if someone else were injured in the future?
How would I respond? Well, I would obviously take responsibility. I'd do whatever I had to do to, if something at this level, obviously, I don't fully understand the question.
I'm just curious if this was to happen to someone in the future and they were injured, would you take the appropriate measures to euthanize him or deem him that he does have a bite tendency or an aggressive tendency?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's that even if had this been an unprovoked, had she just been, at the TV and he just decided, oh, I'm gonna, then yes. But considering, if he didn't do that, it was, yeah.
Has Anne been around Mo since the incident?
No, I promised her that he is out of her life forever.
I don't have any more questions, I don't believe.
Some of my questions were answered by you already.
Okay, is there anything else that you'd like to present to us?
That he's my family. I don't know if any of you have dogs, but, I'm very attached to him, and I'm very sorry for what has happened to my mother. We're trying to do everything we can but we are moving on and working with it. I'm getting ready to go see her tomorrow. Yes, thank you for your time, but yes, please.
Does RPD want to have any cross-examination?
I will start out this time if I can call on Mr. Mowell to answer a couple of questions that I may have.
That's fine.
And the first question I have goes back to what you had already answered. Previous incidents in Hawaii prior to coming to Richmond, I know that you had stated that you had gotten Mo as a rescue. How many incidents were there involving Mo while you were in Hawaii?
Just that one.
Just that one. And again, it was a situation that it was a snap outside of your presence. And it was by people who were conducting themselves in a manner, but Mo at that point became somewhat aggressive that caused that.
They had, just gotten in his face where he just got defensive and just needed just enough to please back away from me.
All right, thank you. Do you consider yourself a responsible animal owner?
Yes.
All right. Are you aware that city ordinance and state law requires that any animal, dog in particular, be up-to-date, current on vaccination and shots yearly?
Yes. Yes.
So at the
that is
time of, on October the 10th, 2025, was Mo in compliance with city ordinance and state law?
At the time, no.
I think those are the questions I wanted to ask. I believe Animal Control Durbin had a question or something to follow up with.
Okay.
So do I need to state my name again? Okay. So you stated that you had gotten an apartment, but you keep referring to the house with a big backyard. So are you back in the house currently?
Yes.
Okay, and it's your mother's house?
Yes.
Okay. And okay, awesome, congratulations. So you're stating that Mo does not have aggressive tendencies, but on the other hand, you were stating that if you get in his face, he will become aggressive.
Yes, just like most living creatures, I believe, if you invade someone's personal space, there's some level of, a human might shove you away, but yes, it's, I don't know, I don't know if he was asleep or not, I don't know if we're familiar with sleep startle in dogs. It's, they're off dreaming, then if they're awoken instantly, they just have that natural reaction.
But he does have the tendency to be aggressive if somebody is close to his face?
If you get in his face, yes, he can. And yes.
That's all the questions that I had.
Andrew, is there anything else I'd like to say?
Yes, no, Officer Stevens was right. He did not have shots at the time, but I've remedied all of that. Yes, as I said, I moved back into the house to where he has his own area, to where he can, again, it's very, very much blockaded. That's it.
All right. Okay, board, any additional discussion or?
I have one question.
Sure.
Is the fence a privacy fence, a tall 6-foot fence?
Yes, the vinyl is like the 7 or 8 foot, and then the chain link is 6 feet.
So you have both, we're in the back, where's the chain link? Where's the chain link? To your neighbor?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that he had a friend.
Yes, the neighbors, the letter with the 2 people, they have a dog and they play all the time.
Okay, so the friend's another dog? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do have one more question, I'm sorry. Since this incident, if you've had visitors over, do you put Mo up?
I don't plan on having visitors, but if I did, I'd either, if it was warm enough, put him outside or put him in my bedroom.
Okay.
Any further questions? Any discussion by the board at this time?
I do have something written out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, like, talk.
This
Okay.
is time for us to discuss this.
Okay. So, to be honest, I have never seen this type of injury from a dog attack like this outside of the movies with special effects makeup. We have seen the photos. It is very graphic. And for it to be on your mom's face, the victim's face, to me, this was something that was deemed serious permanent disfigurement. I would have liked to have an update on her, I guess, a more update on her. But based on the evidence presented, this incident did cause severe disfigurement just from what I could tell from the photos, and they were in black and white. So that's my only concern is with it having the minor incident down in Hawaii and then the incident to this severity here with the victim that had been living with him for 2 years. That's my concern with him.
I have the same concern, and you say, how old was the dog? 6? It just seems like the older that a dog would get, the more aggressive he would get, in my experience. And for it to be, to cause that kind of damage to your mom is
You
unheard of.
take the dog out for walks in the neighborhood or out when you go to the grocery or something like that?
Yes, I put him in the car when I go to the grocery, but he stays in the car,
Do you have him leashed at that time also, or just in the car?
just in the car locked.
So you don't go on walks at all with?
Occasionally, but it's later in the evening when the area I live in, no one else is around.
Okay. Your mother is undergoing plastic surgery from the notes that I've read.
I know she has seen, she's at least gotten a consult. Again, I'm seeing her tomorrow. I can come back with an update.
It's okay on that, yeah. I think, the plastic surgery verifies what Lindsay's talking about a little bit, the severity of the case, and looking at the pictures, very, very graphic. And it is unfortunate, as you say, no doubt about that in this particular case. I think the concern that I have a little bit is it's obvious, and even your mother says that the dog has aggressive tendencies on there. So we have multiple occasions here so far of where people, one, as you call it, snap on there, and then this would be a vicious attack, and the attack with your mother on there, that this could happen to somebody else. Even that's why I asked about the walks. Are you out? Do you walk the dog and so on? And as you would bypass other people and stuff, because people always have a tendency to think we all love dogs. And would something in that case happen that unexpected that you would not anticipate could happen, but could happen with the dog in this particular case?
Okay. Is that where, like a dog behavior school?
I can't answer that because I'm not familiar with behaviors. My guess is that, most dogs, if they're vicious, they either have a problem or they don't, and you can't really resolve them normally. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? What is the board thinking at this time?
As unfortunate as it is to say this as being a dog lover myself, I would move to euthanize him based on the severity of the injuries that Anne received from this.
And so I have to jump in here at this point because our code does have a two-part system where there is under 91.15, and I use the word automatic requirements, but legally, the board is required to give an opportunity for the dog owner to have a certain amount of time, 7 days, to comply with the automatic requirements. And then if there are additional findings based upon whether he has made compliance with those automatic requirements, that's where the second part of either a potential hearing or a report from the police department would come in. Another factor is, and the board did not ask this, but another factor is an alternative of sterilization. But I'm not getting a read off the board that it wants to go that route.
Yeah, I don't really think sterilization is going to maybe solve this particular problem. On the motion that you made, if that motion was passed based on current regulations, the dog would have to be impounded immediately for 7 days, and then you would have 20 days from the time of the impounding, which would be tomorrow, to be able to appeal the case if that did happen. In this particular motion that she made, that would be what would happen in this particular case.
So I have a question, Kim. The automatic requirements, does that list out what the requirements
The
are?
requirements are, if the motion that you made, if that passed tonight, before Mr. Andrew left this evening, we would definitely see that he had a copy of all the requirements of which he would have to meet over the next 7 days on there.
So there are several things, including but not limited to, if a dog is kept outdoors, some kind of a pen, the fencing, a 4-foot leash, a muzzling device, signage on the premises, a certain yellow collar, and then insurance, and then there's other requirements that the dog's going to be rehomed. So that's if there is a first vote of, does the board find that the dog is vicious? And you have to go back to your definition of dangerous, vicious dog. And in this case, it looks like it's element number 2, any dog that has inflicted severe injury on a human being without provocation. So if you're going, I don't think that the other parts of the code have necessarily been discussed, but that's the one that I'm getting the sense that the board is focused on, whether or not it was without provocation, because it was, I'm getting the impression that it was a severe injury, and you all agree on that, but was it without provocation?
So without the provocation, in Officer Hinksler's report, Ann stated Mo was inside sitting in a chair when she went to kiss Mo on the face. Mo immediately bit Ann and latched onto the facial area and began to shake. I don't see how that was provocation when, I mean, giving a dog a kiss on the face, I mean, I don't see how that's provoking. Now, I could see if the dog was being taunted, that would be considered provoking, but just bending down to give a dog on the case, I don't see how that's provoking.
Could have been, if he was sitting in the chair, she wouldn't need to bend down. He was, like, based off, he was most likely laying down, possibly asleep, and then just as a dog felt and over his presence in that realm. It's called sleep startle. I can get more information on it if.
So if the board agrees that there was no provocation, then the board would move forward to making a vote as to whether, yes or no, the dog was vicious and dangerous.
If that was what you're thinking, a motion as such would have to be, I think, in connection with the police department's recommendation that the dog be ordered to be destroyed and immediately impounded, and as the board has discussed with their findings. That would be one, and,
That's the step two.
right,
The board would have to find, and I would, definitely want to hear, Lindsay, you're thinking it is without provocation.
The only reason why I think it's without provocation is I have a dog myself. And he has never acted that way when he was asleep, or I've accidentally tripped over him, or I've bent down and hugged him and kissed him in his face. I've not had that type of reaction. And I understand other dogs can have different temperaments, but I just don't see how her going over to give him a kiss was provoking.
Well,
So since that's the element of the actual code, I would ask the other board members to discuss that as well, so that at least the first part of the vote, if you want to wait on the second part of the vote, but the first part of the vote would be, does it meet one of the elements to have the dog considered vicious?
I just want to say, if they had been living in the same house for over 2 years, why would he feel the need to, just bite her the way that he did, just out of the blue?
No, that's, she and I talked about it, and we don't, again, that's why I'm thinking he was asleep and just had a very canine reaction. I know.
it is, if you look at the pictures, and if you look what Ann had to say, and the dog, not only did the dog bite her, he very aggressively was shaking her also, and until she screamed at something before
Yeah,
the
and
dog
that's what,
left.
like the moment, like she said something, he heard her voice, he immediately let go and then went to go hide in the corner.
Right, he went in the bedroom.
So, like, I think aggression wouldn't, I feel like he would have just stayed and just kept going. Like, it was, again, it was a horrible accident, but again, it wasn't, I felt like he was put in a position, he felt like where his fight or flight kicked in, and yeah, I know. There has to be something that can be done to where euthanizing goes off the table. Tell me what it is, I will do it, but please.
So, and I'm going to pass out to him, I believe that I sent copies of the code. Whenever I send these letters out, I send copies of the code.
Right.
So I can pass them out again. I'm more not worried, I'm more wanting to make sure that for the first vote, it sounds like are you all in agreement that, I think that you all agreed that it was a severe injury. Are you all in agreement that it was unprovoked?
I agree with just the statement that Ann gave to Officer Hinksler, bending down to kiss Mo. I don't believe that was provocation.
Sure. Yeah.
I would agree with that, so.
Okay.
If we agreed on that, the motion that you made was that the dog was dangerous and it would start the 7-day automatic compliance.
So yes, so that's why I interrupted, because a motion to euthanize, that would have to come later. And it could come at this meeting, or it could come 7 days from now. But I need a first vote based off of whether or not, is the board deeming the dog vicious based upon the evidence and testimony.
I would deem the dog vicious based on the in-house incident in Hawaii and then also the in-house incident that occurred here in Richmond.
I have a motion on the floor. I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So normally what happens is, or what's supposed to happen per the code, is that this kicks in the automatic requirements with all of the things that I read off previously. But the board could also go ahead and decide to look at the findings for the second part. I don't like to recommend that because of a prior vicious dog hearing where, and that one was a little apples and oranges because it was a different type of dog and a different recommendation by the Board of Works, which was not in alignment with the code. So we have learned and grown since then. But it is technically the board's discretion whether or not it wants to move on to the second part of looking at the other findings. But again, you might not know the answers to those without the 7-day evaluation period. So does anybody want an extra copy of 91.15?
Yeah.
You see your paper, I don't know if I have the same one. I copied 91.
So those automatic, now that the vote has been made, that would start that particular timeline. And I guess, Aaron, I probably should ask if there has been an agreement or a status of the Richmond Police Department that they would want to definitely come back for a second part of the hearing. I know that had been discussed with the animal control officer, but I don't know if a definitive decision was made by the animal control officer or RPD as a whole.
I do agree that there should be a second hearing to make sure we are complying, to this section of the code, like we talked about. So I do think that when in situations like this where we're going further than deeming them vicious, there should be a second hearing in order to give them time to comply with those things and bring it back. But
Okay.
I also believe I should do an inspection to come forth with my findings as well.
Okay, and that is a recommendation. I just wanted to make that note for the record because, again, it is the board's discretion. I'm a little, again, being a little bit cautious because of the last hearing where it had gone to court. Again, it was a totally different situation where the board went in a completely different direction, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that it has been deemed vicious, but that doesn't mean that the owner will not comply with those required automatic requirements now that he's been made aware of them and put on notice of them.
Okay, so Desiree, you will be going and doing a follow-up with Mo?
Yeah, so what my follow-up will contain is I will make sure that he has completed all of these requirements: the yellow collar, the vicious dog sign, the homeowner's insurance, the kennel outside, the kennel inside. I will go through every part of it and check off what he does and does not have, and I will bring that in and show what findings I have. I usually take pictures of these things, so that way I have picture proof if those are wanted. I can have those printed out, and I can make little packets of my findings to share with you guys if that is what you would like. But I do a checklist, and I make sure everything is in line, and if it is not in line, I obviously state that it is not there.
Question I have for the counselor. With them doing their finding, when does the time frame begin for when he has, if he disagrees with what we're talking about, when does that time frame kick in? If we do this and he has 10 days for the dog to be confined, would he have the 20 days if he wants to appeal after the city comes back with their report and we evaluate it at that time?
So it depends on when the vote occurs, if it occurs today or if it occurs 7 days from now. He has 20 calendar days from the first vote to appeal that the dog is dangerous.
That would be
If
the vote we just took.
the
then.
the vote you just
So
took,
then he would have 20 days from today's date.
20 calendar days. And then if there is a second vote today, or if there's a second vote at a future date, there's a 20-day appeal period from that time.
Oh.
The impounding is meant to be an immediate impounding. There was testimony that the dog, because it was an in-house issue, the dog was quarantined inside. But the actual appeal of the second day, the second vote, any second vote would be 20 days as well. Whether that's today or,
So we consider him already quarantined for those 7 days.
I think there was testimony that the dog was already quarantined in its home.
Right, he was. But the way I read this, with the vote that we just took, he would have 10 days in which to confine the dog, and with what the city is saying, would allow you to do all of your investigation, and what you would like to do is to do all of that, and then come back to us for our final ruling at that time? Is that?
What's the 10 days?
Well, we voted the dog is vicious, okay? And the way I read this, once we do that, the dog has to be confined immediately for 10 days.
That 10-day period is under that's under the additional powers. That would be tied in with maybe I'm looking at the wrong part of the code. Where are you looking at?
Oh, well,
10 days?
yeah. Any dog inflicted severe shall be impounded until hearing is held. All right, they impounded the dog for 10 days. Okay, now we're having the hearing now, and the board shall thereafter determine whether the dog is deemed dangerous or determine if any additional action pursuant to subsection of this section. And so what the city came back and said was she'd like to evaluate it during this period.
Under 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm missing the 10-day period, though. I'm missing wherever that was. And I may have misspoken. If I said 10 days, I meant 20 days. And I can do a word search on that again and make sure I'm not missing something.
Sure.
Make sure we're all on the same page. So what I'm looking under here is the after we deem the dog vicious. It'll be on page 14.4. And
Yeah.
that's where we give them the 7 calendar days to attempt to comply with all of the requirements to have their dog, to keep their dog. The insurance, the collar, the sign, everything like that. From my understanding with speaking with Counselor Vessels, is it's in our best interest to allow that 7 days before we come back to vote to deem that we euthanize the dog, so we do not have a similar incident as the one she was speaking of
In the court case.
previously. Now, usually in those 7 days, I do not take the dog unless it is shown that the dog is continuously getting loose and getting loose and getting loose, and he is a danger to the community. I will say Mr. Mao has shown that he does contain his dog, so I would feel comfortable keeping him there. Where we are feeling uncomfortable is if something else were to occur, if the dog was able to get out of the yard, if somebody opened the gate and let the dog out, if he was on a walk with the dog and it bit a child. These are the reasons why we are deeming the dog vicious and possibly looking at euthanization. So when it comes to the 7 days, the dog, if voted upon with the board and, you guys deem it fit, if you would like me to take the dog right away, I can do that.
That would be taking an immediate impoundment, that's part of a second vote
Right,
without that 7-day break.
right.
So-
That would be if you did not give the 7-day break, if you voted today to go with that recommendation, then I would take the dog.
And those are separate findings that we would have to go through one by one.
Okay, so the 20 calendar days to comply with any other requirements imposed by the Board of Works pursuant to the subsection. Is this something that I can request that he looks into a behavior specialist for dog?
It's something that you can recommend, it's not something that you can order because it's not part of the code. And again, the city has gotten, or has been recommended to not add extra things like rehoming a dog or having a certain type of evaluation. The code does stick to euthanizing or sterilization. So I certainly would think that you could recommend it, but it could not be an order of the board.
Okay. I would like to recommend taking the dog to a veterinarian and possibly a behavior specialist or a trainer. I know there's several here in Richmond that you could look into and maybe present what they find with Mo.
Okay, yeah,
and his-
absolutely.
If in his aggression, or if there's any type of training that could be done. That's my recommendation.
So knowing that you have the code and the recommendation from RPD, do you want to look at the findings of any potential vote on euthanizing, or do you want to wait and hear back from Officer Durbin?
I would wait to hear back from Officer Durbin with your recommendation of allowing him the 7 days to comply and then the 20 days with my recommendation.
Joanne and Kenneth?
Well, I do have another legal question.
Sure.
Lindsay, you mentioned the 7 days plus the 20 to allow them to come back
20 days is technically
if he wants to appeal the case. Okay?
it's for
Now-
the additional requirements. Like if you were going to sterilize and immediately impound and then sterilize, there would be 20-day period to do that.
Okay, so if we wait and have him come back and the city does their investigation in 7 days, does he lose that 7 days for the 20 days that he could appeal? Or would he have 20 days after whatever our ruling would be at the next hearing?
20 days from the next hearing.
I want to make sure he has adequate time, depending on whatever our ruling is, to appeal that case, okay, so that I definitely understand. Okay?
Yeah. There would be 20 days from today, no matter what, because of the vicious dog bite. But then any second vote today or in the future would also have a 20-day time period. So
So we would need his report from the veterinarian in this next 7 days.
Well, that's a recommendation. That cannot be ordered. That's not something the board has the jurisdiction to order. Certainly if he wants to provide it, if you guys want it back in 7 days, certainly if he's able to provide that, you can entertain that and look at it, but it's really not something that you can order.
So if we looked at that, and so our next board meeting would be on the 26th of March, which would be 7 days. And if we approved that, then the city you would impound the dog, and you would have to comply with everything that the counselor gave you, which is on page 14, and basically 15 has most of them on there, which you have to comply with.
Okay.
And then you would come back to us on the 26th, and at that time, we would have a final report from the city of Richmond with whatever their current recommendation would be currently at that time.
Okay. Just, even though she was okay with knowing that I can confine the dog properly, you'd still want him?
I have no problem. I don't have any problem in listening to you. I think you will do everything to comply with keeping the dog safe and away from people with
Yes, sir.
fenced-in area. Yes, I don't think we need to impound the dog immediately. That's my opinion.
I agree. I would just express to definitely keep away from children because they are a lot smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll just give you my number, so
If we will schedule, it will likely end up being either the early morning of Thursday or at the end of the day on Wednesday, so that way I have time to get my packet together of my findings, but we'll set up a date and time where I'm able to come over.
Okay.
Do we need to make another motion of any kind here to allow this adequate time for this?
Well, I think that with the knowledge that everybody's on verbal notice, I think we can just simply not adjourn this hearing, but
Continue the hearing till
Continue.
26th.
continue the hearing until the 26th. So we don't need to adjourn, although we will be leaving this meeting. But I think the motion is to reconvene on March 26th.
Chair would so entertain a motion.
Motion to
Okay.
approve.
All those
Second.
in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We will reconvene on the 26th of March, here sometime after 5 o'clock, depending on our agenda that we have.
Thank you very much.
And if you have any questions, could you give your phone number so he can contact you so that there's no questions about the time and that, okay? Okay, anything else?
We won't say the A word.
We'll
Say
just,
goodnight.
we'll say goodnight
To
and
be continued.
we'll reconvene on the 26th. Okay,
Thank you.
we'll adjourn by general consent.